Jada Pinkett Smith had a Red Table Talk, and I know everybody saw that table talk, the one with Debbie Allen and um, and several others, speaking about, you know, I think Debbie made a comment about a young man that was tired after like dancing for like no more than a minute. Um, and then around the table, they all kind of discussed, the regiments that they went through as performers, and to not see that necessarily in today's youth or young dancers. This is on this angle, so go first. And now just basically just turn this hand, keep turning so that this shoulder gets to the front. I see that locally with, in the school or when I've adjudicated spaces or guest taught. I don't know if that's because of, back in 2000 when a lot of larger organizations started doing outreach programs, and the outreach programs were great for what they were, but they also created a space where parents just believed that they didn't have to pay for the arts. And so I believe once you stop paying for something, somehow subconsciously, you might not see a value in it because your money is not going towards it. Um, and also, you see people who pay like thousands of dollars and then are upset and furious because they don't see the change or the product that they want to see in their students or their kids. I should say not their students, in their kids. Um, so it's training is really real. And I really I really want parents to really consider that it starts with you really seeing dance as a value and not seeing it as just an activity to throw your kid in for babysitting, but really think about, there's 4 different ways you could look at dance. I mean, you could have dance at a rec center, a church, um, a studio, and a formal school, you know, and each one of those things get you dance, but get you dance in different ways. You could start out at a church, and at the church, you just learn how to express yourself and, and minister to the larger flock in a way that touches their lives and starts to get you to become a catalyst, for more than just you just wanting to perform, but to be a vessel for change through movement. Um, then moving into something recreational, you could be at the Boys and Girls Club and be a dance team member. You could, be taking classes at a Y. And that's your start because that's what's around you. It's in the community and it's there. And let me preface in saying that all 4 of these things are valid. It's just about you making the choice to like where you wish to end up. Where do you wish to go? Um, and then if you're going to a studio, it gets a little bit more formal. You get classes. But depending on where you are, those classes might become shorter and your routine, we call it rehearsals for your routines or numbers, become more because you have 1,000 competitions to go to, um, which I've seen a lot of. And then a lot of those kids end up injured. Um, and they have a bunch of costumes and they've done a lot of performance, so they understand how to be on stage. But did they learn it? Did they learn dance as a craft? And that's the part where I really wish I could see more of in this region. I can't speak for no other place, but here in the DC area, as we say, the DMV, I wish I could see more of that, and I don't see a lot of that now. And then there are schools, the Ngoma School, the Washington School of Ballet, even City Dance's school. Like, schools are different because schools, depending on, the school, there's a stylistic choice. If it's attached to a company, the company's stylistic choice tends to live in the school because they're trying to get students trained well enough to go into the school, come out of the school and go into the company. So they put a little bit more emphasis in it. But these are all 4 different ways that I really wish that parents would um, be a little more educated on, and they don't necessarily know. So, this is why we're doing things like this podcast, and starting to make these videos so that, parents can start to ask questions, Does the place where you are have evaluations? Do these evaluations make sense to you? Are they, when you break them down, do they make sense? If it doesn't, then you should be able to ask questions, not necessarily uh, be gaslit or turned around when you ask a question, because it's your money and it's the education of your students. And I just believe that education is key. And if you, as a teacher, good teachers deserve good students, and good students deserve good teachers. So if you're not seeing that wherever you are, consider those four places. Is it time for me to move from church to the Y, or like a recreational space? Is the recreational space no longer serving because it's lived out its time? Is the formal education spaces, like the studios that you run into, have your kid kind of lived out the notion of um, doing 1,000 competitions, or just doing recitals for the sake of just being with their friends, and now they're at the point where they really want to study dance in a more formal way, to strengthen themselves, to be able to compete and ask, and go for scholarships, as well as possibly go into a company and have that referral, because there is a beauty in being in a space where the people that are the directors have those connections to those larger entities, to help serve and guide these young talents towards their goals, if that's what they want to do. And then that's why you again have schools to kind of aid dancers to become young craftsmen um, of their craft. So training to me is a really big deal, and I believe it should be for everybody involved.